City 10-game roadies, with the first of 4 against the National League East leading Washington Nationals from the nation's capital and Nationals Park. And hi again, everyone, alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley. I'm Jim Day. So glad you could join us for Reds baseball. Nationals leading the National League East, winners of 4 straight, but earlier this month, Reds took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals at GABP. And if you go back to June 3rd, we have the exact pitching matchup tonight. Lefty Brandon Finnegan gets the ball for Cincinnati.
Yeah, normally, Jim, you don't get this quick of a turnaround with the National League East, but the Reds are facing the Nationals very quick. I think both pitchers quite familiar, and for Brandon Finnegan, that is an ace in the hole, because he pitched 6 2/3 innings of outstanding baseball. He really only made 1 mistake, and I don't even think the Jason Worth home run in this ballpark that we're playing in tonight would have gotten out. You continue to watch Brandon Finnegan. He's getting better and better as time goes along. Early in the season, walks were a key issue. The home runs were a key issue. I like to see adjustments from young pitchers as the season moves along, and Brandon Finnegan's adjustments are in the positive direction.
He's getting a bit of a break tonight because reigning National League MVP Bryce Harper getting the night off. But Daniel Murphy, all he's doing is leading the National League in batting average.
352 average, and the big key with Daniel Murphy, especially playing in this big park that we'll see here tonight, he's got 14 home runs. That is 1 home run off a career high, and folks, we're not even at the All-Star break yet.
Getting the ball for Dusty Baker's Washington Nationals, Gio Gonzalez, and he has struggled of late.
He has struggled mightily. Out of his last 7 starts, he is 0-6 and ERA above 8. Now, that's not too good. And if you think about it, Lucas Giolito now in the picture, Strasburg coming off the DL. Maybe Gio Gonzalez is pitching for his spot in the rotation.
See how it shakes out. The Reds looking to continue their success against Washington, whipping up on those Nationals. We'll talk about that and more when we come back on Fox Sports Ohio. The network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com and by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, Nationals Park. Crowd filing in to see the first place Washington Nationals take on the Cincinnati Reds. And if you look at our Alcanac story, the Reds over the last 2 seasons, 7-2 versus these Nationals, including taking 2 out of 3 earlier this month. That .778 win percentage is best versus any team, and the .222 win percentage Nationals versus the Reds tied for worst versus any team for the Nationals, tying their record against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Brian Price will face his former boss, Dusty Baker, and here's how I'll line them up. And there was a question of Billy Hamilton after taking a ball off the head yesterday. Hamilton went through the concussion protocol earlier today, and as late word, I mean very late word, he is in the lineup. Zach Cozart will lead off. Then it's Votto, Phillips, Bruce, Duvall, Suarez, Hamilton batting 7th, playing center field, Tucker Barnhart, and Brandon Finnegan are your battery. Gio Gonzalez on the hill, about to deliver pitch number 1 in there for a strike, and we are underway. Ramon De Jesus calling balls and strikes behind the plate. Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, down at first base. Eric Cooper at second base. And Adrian Johnson will man third. 81 degree first pitch temperature. Beautiful night for baseball. That one upstairs. And Gio Gonzalez, Cowboy, it has been a struggle.
Yeah, you look at the ball game that he pitched against the Reds his last time out. He threw the ball all right, but he had that inning in number 2 that he had 9 batters come to the plate. He gave up 4 runs in that inning, and it just seemed like that was the end of the ball game there. The Reds never relinquished.
Well, Cozart working the count here, and it's gone full 3-2. In that start on June 3rd, Cozart was 2 for 4 and a home run off of Gonzalez. 2 pitch, and Gonzalez gives Cozart a free pass to start this one. And now Joey Votto. Votto will step in with a un-Votto-like .244 batting average, 13 home runs, 39 runs driven in.
Got to believe that the Reds have some pretty good confidence coming into this ball game, facing the veteran left-hander. Not because he's had a difficult 7-game stretch, but just because of the way they swung the bats against him the last time out.
First pitch hitting and right into right center field. That'll send Cozart to third. Here comes Votto to second base, and he's in there sliding with the double. Good start for Cincinnati.
You're starting to see Joey Votto come around a little bit from an offensive standpoint. And when you're seeing Votto swing early in the count, that's a pretty good pitch. Down in the zone, sinking down and in. You're trying to get a double play. You don't want to pitch Votto away because that's pitching into his strength, and Votto rips it in the gap for a double.
So second and third, nobody out, and Brandon Phillips will step in. Phillips, a .252 hitter on the season, 6 home runs, 29 runs driven in. First pitch ball. Phillips back on June 3rd, 2 for 4 with an RBI. And those 2 hits back in June were the only hits in his career off of Gonzalez. 2 for 14 career. But again, it's been a different Gio Gonzalez. Last 7 starts. Way inside. Gonzalez doesn't look comfortable at all to start this one.
Phillips is going to first base. That curveball hit him on the back foot. Looked like it hit the ground and hit Phillips' foot about the same time. Most home plate umpires don't see that call. You ultimately have to go to replay, as we saw just a couple of games ago with the Reds doing that. The ball hit right on the back foot, and home plate umpire De Jesus was right on it.
All right, now Jay Bruce with the bases juiced and nobody out. Bruce will step in with 17 home runs and second in the National League with 59 runs driven in. Off the fist of the bat. And they will turn two, but a run scores. No RBI for Bruce right there, but Reds do get the early lead.
Well, that is a major lifesaver for Gio Gonzalez. He gets a first pitch fastball right in on the hands of Jay Bruce. And Espinosa able to turn it over quickly. A high throw, but a strong throw nonetheless.
Pitcher's best friend.
Especially with bases loaded and nobody out.
That is a big out in this game. See how it unfolds. Now Adam Duvall steps in. First pitch from Gonzalez. Inside, ball one. Duvall homered in the fourth yesterday. His National League leading 22nd home run. In fact, he leads all of Major League Baseball. 54 hitter overall, 54 RBIs. Also had a home run back on June 3rd against Gonzalez. He was 2 for 4 that night. Home run, double, couple of RBIs. He's got one sitting out there at third. In the air to center field. Michael Taylor, the center fielder, tonight for the Nationals, gloves it. And Gio Gonzalez only gives up one. The bases loaded and nobody out. Brandon Finnegan out to take the hill for the Reds. Red skipper now manning the dugout for the Nationals. His team has won 4 in a row, including 3-game sweep against their rival, the Mets. And here's how he'll line them up. Michael Taylor gets the start in center field tonight. Then it's Worth, Daniel Murphy, and Wilson Ramos. We'll talk about them, but they have been lighting up batting averages in the National League this year. Rendon at third, Ryan Zimmerman at first base. Former Red Chris Heisey gets the start tonight in right field. Danny Espinosa at shortstop. Gio Gonzalez pitching, hitting ninth. Brandon Finnegan on the hill for Cincinnati.
You look at Finnegan's numbers, and we talked about this earlier, but he just seems to be getting more comfortable, able to, I don't want to say pace himself through the ball game, but able to handle bigger moments. He's been a little bit more pitch efficient, but the numbers are getting better as the months go along, and I think that's got to be encouraging for anyone that's within the Reds organization.
Behind 2-0 to Michael Taylor.
And there were many people out there that when Finnegan came over from the Royals in the trade for Johnny Cueto, the immediate talk was this guy's not going to be able to handle the starting because of his mechanics and his max effort. he's going to be a guy that ultimately will be in the back end of the bullpen because of his tenacity on the mound. Well, he's been able to kind of throw those words to the wayside so far in a Reds uniform.
One of his downfalls at times this year has been the walk, which has been a problem with many Reds pitchers, and he walks Taylor on 4 pitches. Here's your 4 defensive lineup for Cincinnati. Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce across the outfield. Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, Votto, Barnhart behind the plate, Finnegan on the mound. So your standard 8 for Cincinnati, or at least the guys that have gotten the most playing time. And now Jason Worth. 255 hitter, 10 home runs, 40 runs driven in. Back on June 30 was 1 for 3 off of Finnegan. Hit that 7th inning home run. And was really the only blemish for Finnegan on that night, as he went 6 1/3, 5 hits, that 1 earned run given up to the Worth home run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. He has thrown 4 pitches, all balls. Now a meeting of the minds with the batter mates.
I think one of the issues that Brandon Finnegan continues to struggle with is release point with the fastball. Yes, he does have a very unusual delivery, almost appearing as though he's throwing the ball as hard as he can every time. That's really not the case. But getting that little release point right there at the end on a mound that he's uncomfortable with. He's never pitched here before.
Throw over to Taylor. Got to keep your eye on Taylor. He has 10 stolen bases, has been caught 3 times. No Bryce Harper tonight. Dusty Baker saying before the game that he's banged up a bit, and at this time of the year, this is the time of year where you start giving guys nights off. And against the lefty, he will sit tonight. Fouled some balls off his legs this week. Also twisted his ankle at first base. Ben Revere also getting the night off in the starting lineup. So Michael Taylor in there. And Chris Heisey playing right field.
Yeah, you see Dusty Baker in that dugout. He's got the wristbands on. He's got the toothpick in the side of the mouth. He's been doing that ever since he put on a uniform. I mean, he was doing that in his playing days. I can remember watching him playing in Atlanta when he was batting behind Hank Aaron, and I can remember him doing it when he was my manager in San Francisco.
I'm wondering if he has his own wristbands on, because looks like that's his face. So some custom Dusty Baker wristbands.
Nothing wrong with that.
Looking good.
He's looking good.
Finnegan paying a lot of attention to Taylor, and the fans don't much care for that.
They didn't like that last pick. Stalling the game.
Taylor continues to get a pretty good lead over there at first base. Comes Finnegan to the plate, in there for a strike. National League highest average versus left-handed hitters. Look at Jason Worth, 389. That's getting it done. Fouled off, look out, right into the Reds dugout. Brian Price ends up with the baseball, and he will throw it into the stands. Look out. Oh, ricochet ball. Brian Price. Van Howie looking.
Almost took
good hands.
Took the head of Jim Riggleman off standing behind him. It's always the second guy that gets nailed.
Oh, yeah. 1-2 pitch, fouled off again. Brandon Finnegan's been pretty good against righties, Cowboy.
He has, and a lot of that has to do with his ability to throw the breaking ball on both sides of the plate. He can backdoor it. He can come down and in with the bigger curveball. And you add the changeup. Not a whole lot of changeups against left-handed batters, but Gives him almost a 4-pitch mix.
It's a 1-2 again. 2-2. Jason Worth, like a lot of these Nationals batters, heated up in the month of June. Leading Nationals hitters with a .431 on base percentage during the month of June. Since June 7th, he's hitting .348. Into right field, foul ball.
That fastball up and away has always been a pitch that Worth could handle with some authority. And when he came up in his Philly days, when he really started coming into his own as far as power numbers, that ball up and out over the plate, he doesn't miss it too often.
Nationals as a team, pretty good against left-handers. In fact, very good. Highest OPS versus left-handed pitchers. Nationals have an .815 OPS. That's on base percentage plus slugging. Worth deep and trouble. But at the wall is Duvall, leaping and off the wall. Taylor had to hold up, but he will indeed come on to third base. Here's the throw. Not in time.
May have been better served as that ball came off the wall to throw the ball to second base and get Worth. Worth paused for a moment as he came out of the batter's box. Taylor with tremendous speed. The throw is about the same to either base, but I did not think he had a chance to get Michael Taylor. You could see Worth pausing as he came out of the box. The ball comes off to the wall. I'm not sure that Duvall could have caught that ball anyway.
Pretty good effort, but now second and third and nobody out.
Your instinct tells you to get the lead runner, but in that case probably would have been better served to go to second base, especially with the slower Worth running.
Worth certainly thought it was gone. He gave the home run look, the home run trot, and then the not home run disappointment. And now Daniel Murphy, leading the league in hitting at .352, 14 home runs, 53 runs driven in.
Well, if the Nationals are going to draw it up, this is how they would do it. You get Michael Taylor on, you get Worth on, and you got your two guys hitting the best for average coming to the plate in Murphy and Ramos, left and right.
Murphy, a big swing and a miss. Finnegan ahead 0-2. Murphy had 2 home runs last night. And here they are, matched a career high in those home runs for a season, with 14 of them now. 2 home run game was the 3rd of his career, 1st of the season, and 1st since July of 2013. As the Nationals put a 3-game hurting on the Mets. 0-2 pitch, nubbed. Foul territory. Suarez has got it. A big out there for Finnegan. But it doesn't get any easier in this lineup. Even with Harper out of the lineup tonight, it's back-to-back guys who have been tearing it up. Wilson Ramos, the catcher, will step in. His .339 average, 2nd in the league. Ramos did not face Finnegan earlier this month. In his career, 1 for 3, and that one hit was a home run. Outside corner, strike 1. Wilson Ramos also 5th in the league with batting average with runners in scoring position. Look at Jay Bruce up there. .424. A 1 pitch. Inside 1-1. Ramos leads all Major League Baseball catchers in RBI with 43, on base percentage, slugging percentage. puts the bat on the ball. Fewest strikeouts among major league catchers. Been punched out only 30 times. Here comes the 1-1. Line drive left field. Duvall's got it. He's going to bring it home. But scoring is Michael Taylor. Sacrifice fly RBI Wilson Ramos, and we're tied up at 1.
Tried to come in with the fastball. He gets it in there, but watch Ramos pull his hands inside the baseball. Just gets the barrel of the bat to the ball, gets the ball elevated enough, and easy RBI. Watch Ramos's hands. He really pulls them in. You can see that back arm almost up against his rib cage as he made contact.
So that was a pretty strong throw from left field from Duvall.
Both of these left-handers, Finnegan and Gonzalez, a little flirting with disaster here in the early going.
Now Anthony Rendon, Nationals third base. Fourth State at second base on that sacrifice fly RBI. One-0 pitch, fouled back.
You know, you mentioned that Worth stayed at second base on the throw from Duvall. If Duvall had thrown the ball high and overthrown the cutoff man, Worth could have walked to third base. But the ball was down, it was low, and Worth really couldn't read it as to whether the cutoff man was going to get the ball or let it come all the way to the plate. You get that low, strong throw, the one hop to the plate, you can hold a lot of base runners.
That cutoff man was Suarez, and did a pretty good job of not indicating whether he was going to catch the ball or not. Two balls, one strike. Rendon has hit safely in 4 of his last 5 games and has reached base safely in his last 8 of 9 appearances. .313 batting average over the last 9. Foul ball.
Gonna need a new bat.
You could barely hear it up here. We're only like 30 stories up.
We're helicopter distance.
This is the highest vantage point in the league.
Just above Pittsburgh.
Just above Pittsburgh. Here we are. Give a big wave on
Higher.
Higher up here. There we go. How are we looking right there?
We're looking high.
We are higher in the top row of seats in this bad boy. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second base. The count's gone full. Brian Price versus his former skipper Dusty Baker. First of 4 here from Nationals Park. 3-2 pitch from Finnegan. Walked him. Second walk of the inning given up by Finnegan. And now Ryan Zimmerman.
You look at the numbers for Zimmerman, they don't jump out at you. But this guy is still a very dangerous hitter. He may only be hitting .220. Doesn't have quite the RBI numbers that he's had in the past, but he can be awfully dangerous.
Finnegan's about to deliver pitch number 25 of the first inning. And it's ball 1. Zimmerman now manning first base for the Nationals, moving from the other corner. We saw him in previous in his career.
Yeah, Jim, normally in years past you would see the name of Ryan Zimmerman in number 3 spot, 4 spot, maybe number 5 now with the emergence of Bryce Harper. But you see that there. That tells the story. You leave that many runners on base, you move down 6 and 7 in the order.
2-0. Hit well. Center field. Going back is Hamilton, and that one is out of here. 3-run home run, Ryan Zimmerman. And the Nationals have taken the lead.
He didn't leave any on that time.
Certainly did not. 11th home run of the season for Zimmerman. And the Nationals have put a 4-run hurting on Brandon Finnegan here in the first.
Fastball cuts back over the plate. Finnegan was looking for that ball to sink away from Zimmerman. I have seen Ryan Zimmerman do that to many of a pitcher over the years.
Well, when the Reds faced the Nationals in early June, Ryan Zimmerman was on the paternity list, did not play in that series. It makes the Reds pay here. Now the former Red, Chris Heisey. Heisey just a 191 hitter. Good spot playing time with the Nationals. Does have 4 home runs. We know all about his pop. We know all about his hustle. Dusty Baker brought him over here with the Nationals in his first year on the job, and Heisey, base hit. 3rd hit of the inning off of Finnegan. The first inning continues. The 8th batter will stroll to the plate.
Not too many batters or players in general in the big leagues hustle like this guy. Chris Heisey, no matter whether he hits it to the pitcher or whether he hits it into the outfield, always has an aggressive base running style.
I always used to marvel at him, and it's one of those lost things in the game. He would pop up to the infield, and he would be on second base by the time the infielder caught it. I mean, not some of the time, every time. Never seen him not hustle. Here's Danny Espinosa, and what number does Heisey have on? Well, he likes to hustle and wearing the number of Charlie Hustle. First pitch to Espinosa. Ball 1. Finnegan's done a lot of looking down at the mound, particularly at his landing spot. Like Gonzalez, just doesn't seem comfortable on the mound so far. One 1-0. Missed. 2-0. Up to 32 pitches in the inning. Hitters count. Swing and a miss.
You think Espinosa was looking to try to get a single there?
Swinging out of his shoes.
Trying to hit that one to the Capitol.
Timeout. Finnegan went 6 2/3 innings. He's going to have a tough time doing that with that pitch count at 33 here in the first.
The Reds had their opportunity in the top of this inning, and the double play ball kind of gave Gio Gonzalez some new life there. It looked like Brandon Finnegan was going to be able to get out of this inning with only the 1 run. But the walk to Rendon and then that hammer shot off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman changed things quickly.
He'll throw over. Heisey has yet to steal a base this season. He's been caught one time. Per usual, Heisey getting a decent lead at first. Gio Gonzalez, the pitcher, on deck.
You get beyond the 20-25 pitch mark in any inning, whether you're a reliever or a starter. Legs start to get a little heavy. That arm starts to lack the elasticity and the quickness to the plate.
He's run the count full again. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Heisey will be on the move from first. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Finnegan gets his first strikeout of the night. The Nationals put 4 on the board. The Nationals. Worth and left tonight. Taylor in center. Heisey in right. Around the infield, it's Rendon, Espinosa, Murphy, Zimmerman, and battery mates of Ramos and Gonzalez. Gio Gonzalez got out of trouble giving up only 1 run in the first. He had a bases loaded situation, nobody out. But perhaps the Reds could get to him because you look at the first 8 starts, 3-1 with a 1.86 ERA. And over his last 7 starts, an ERA almost 8.5. He faced these Reds on June 3rd and gave up 5 earned runs in 6 innings of work that night. So this one's far, far from over. Eugenio Suarez will lead off for the Reds here in the second.
Well, the biggest key for the Reds, as we saw in the first inning, just do whatever you have to do to not chase pitches that are borderline, and that's exactly where Gonzalez is going right now. Right on that outside edge. You got a gift call there from Ramon De Jesus, the home plate umpire.
Called second strike. Greer versus Gonzalez, 3 for 3 and a home run. That home run came June 3rd. Grounder up the middle into center field for a base hit. A good start to the second here for the Reds.
Like Espinosa was playing over in the shortstop hole as this ball came off the bat. Looked like a cutter back towards the middle of the plate. You see where the shortstop's playing. If you're playing at a normal spot, that's a routine play. But if you're pulled way around into that hole, it ends up like it is now. You got a runner at first base.
So a slow roller, grass cutter. He reaches the outfield, and now Billy Hamilton. If you're just joining us, Billy Hamilton, the starting lineup for the Reds, was not announced till just about a half hour before the game. He was hit in the face. A ball yesterday off the glove of Adam Duvall. And Billy, since he just came off the 7-day concussion DL, had to go through the concussion protocol today. Was out early working with the trainers. Brian Price was on to look at that. Then he has to take the mental portion of the test. And here's what happened yesterday. It was a ball hit by Anthony Rizzo, and the outfielders came together, and man, that ball ricocheted right off the face of Hamilton. He would leave the game, but every test he took today, he passed. And it's not just the Reds signing off on the concussion protocol. It's MLB, and that was the holdup. Brian Price said he looked good in all the tests he took, but those results have to be sent to Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball has to give the okay per MLB concussion protocol now.
And the fact that Billy just got off of the concussion list 2.5, 3 weeks ago.
Outside, 2-2. Billy hitting from the right-hand side, his natural hitting side. Although you look at his average, 259 hitter right-handed, 254 hitter left-handed.
I think a lot of that is the improvement that he's made from the left side.
Yeah.
Much better swing path, hitting the ball harder to the left side of the field than really at any time that we've seen throughout his career. He had his batting average up 274, 273 right in that area.
Swing and a miss. First strikeout of the night for Gio Gonzalez.
This is where Gonzalez likes to go. You see the mitt from Ramos. Stay away with that fastball and changeup. Trying to get the batters to pull off of it just ever so slightly and catch it off the end of the bat.
Now the Reds catcher Tucker Barnhart. 249 average. Did not play in that game against Gonzalez back on the 3rd of this month. First pitch swinging, trouble. 4, 6, 3, inning double play. But Gonzalez wiggles around trouble again. And that's lead. ballpark Saturday, July 16th. Thanks to PNC Bank, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Zach Cozart bobblehead. Catch all the action when the Reds take on the Brewers for only $12. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Zach takes his position at shortstop, and Brandon Finnegan on for a second inning of duty after a 37-pitch first inning. Saw the Nationals put 4 on the board. The big blow, a 3-run home run off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman. He'll face his counterpart to lead off the second here in Gio Gonzalez. Gonzalez 3 hits in 21 plate appearances this season. First pitch way upstairs. This is again 2-0. Way off the mark. 3 balls, no strikes. Finnegan just doesn't look comfortable at all.
He's in trouble. He is all over the place. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier, just about release point and finishing pitches. And right now he is further from that than I've seen him in some time. See, that fastball there is a belt high fastball. That's not where you want the pitch. You want it down around the knees, and maybe that's where Brandon Finnegan thinks he needs to be. That pitch there, that's a strike, but that's a hitter's strike.
Right. He's gone full to Gonzalez, and now the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. So good comeback on that at bat by Finnegan. Second strikeout of the night. Reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, and please crack open one for us. Look forward to a Miller Time moment later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Now back to the top of the order, and Michael Taylor. Walked in the first, scored a run. Wilson Ramos hit a sacrifice fly to left field. Popped it up. Votto, foul ground. 2 outs. Now Jason Worth.
You know, Jim, this may be the only stadium where we broadcast when the ball is a pop-up as high as that one. We never look up. We only look down. And that's a little confusing to me.
Well, we've all had our moments of you do plenty of play-by-play on the radio side. Kind of misreading a fly ball.
Well, that ball was way up there.
I mean,
and we're looking at the top of the ball the entire time.
I mean, you can misread a fly ball here.
No doubt about that.
So bear with us tonight and over the weekend. One pitch to Jason Worth. This is outside, 2-1. Where are we at, Cowboy?
We're up here. right there.
We do have a gorgeous view of the nation's capital, the Capitol building.
This is kind of a stadium where if you think back, maybe they just forgot that there would be broadcasters at the stadium.
It has happened before. This would not be the only stadium where in the end they forgot we need a press box.
Well, I can remember when they were building AT&T Park in San Francisco. We got to the ballpark. There's no bullpen.
Yes.
There's no bullpen. We're sitting down there with the cameramen. Hey, how you doing? Oh, nice to meet you. Can't sign during the game.
And now those bullpens are old school style. They're down the lines at AT&T Park. That is the third walk given up in an inning and 2/3 of work by Brandon Finnegan. Now he'll deal with the leader in batting average in the league, Daniel Murphy. Got him to foul out his first time up. Daniel Murphy now manning second base for the Nationals, and he followed the offseason moves. Brandon Phillips, Reds had trade all but settled with the Nationals to send him to Washington, as Murphy grounds one right to Phillips. Phillips turned the trade down, and the Nationals turned right around and signed Daniel Murphy. About those Cleveland Indians. 12 straight wins, longest in all the bigs this season, and longest by the Indians since 1951. They have not lost since Game 6 of the NBA Finals. So Cleveland, as a city, just continues to be lit up with victories. Baltimore Orioles, you've been checking them out this month. 55 home runs in June. They play Seattle tonight. They could tie a Major League Baseball record for the month of June with 3 other teams with a home run tonight. And Madison Bumgarner, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, will hit in tonight's interleague game at Oakland. First time a National League team won't use the DH since 1976.
I think that should tell you a little something about how Madison Bumgarner swings the bat.
And he's lobbied to get into the home run derby.
Good luck with that.
Don't think the Giants will be too kind to that.
No. How about if we just let you be the DH one day? How about that?
I wouldn't put it past Bruce Bochy, but that's not going to happen either. But he will hit tonight. And the best hitting pitcher for the Reds is in there right now, Brandon Finnegan. 5 hits in his 30 at-bats this season. Fouls it back. Unlike his counterpart, Finnegan throws left, hits left. Gonzalez throws left, hits right.
And you would think that that would not be a big deal. But as a pitcher, if you throw left and hit left, then your right arm, which is your non-throwing arm, is towards the ball that's being thrown towards you. In the case of Gio Gonzalez, if the ball is up and in and it hits his left elbow, that could be career.
It's Finnegan here, second strikeout of the game for Gonzalez, and now back to the top of the order, Zach Kozar. Kozar walked back in the first and scored a run. And Jay Bruce grounded into a 4-6-3 double play. And that was a big double play in this game because the Reds had a bases loaded and nobody out and came away with only one. Pitch to Kozar. Fouls it off.
See some of the pitches now from Gonzalez are starting to get down into that pitcher's pitch area, right around the kneecaps, right on the outside corner. That first inning he was up. Almost every pitch was elevated. The curveball had a lot of bite but no control.
Three balls, one strike. Kozar now with 11 walks in his last 17 appearances. Make that 12. As for the second straight time, Gonzalez gives Kozar the free pass. And now Joey Votto.
Kozar early in the year, Jim, he was swinging at the first pitch he saw, and he was doing awfully well at that. But as time goes on, the league starts to realize, okay, this guy's first pitch, fastball hitter. You've either got to throw him a breaking ball or you've got to run that fastball up the plate, off the plate, or elevate it.
Votto doubled his first time up and continues really hot hitting in his career against the Nationals. Coming in is a .320 average in 46 career games against the Nationals. You can up that now with that leadoff double. For whatever reason, the Reds have fared well against the Nationals. We've talked about that in the open, and Votto has hit very well.
And he has swung at first pitches and now 2 consecutive at bats. That does not happen often.
.438 average his career versus Gio Gonzalez. So that lefty versus lefty matchup means nothing to Joe. Last year, off of Gonzalez, left center field, May 30th, 2015. Votto's got one sitting out there now, but he's behind 0-2. Per usual, Votto choking up big time with 2 strikes.
It seems as though when Votto comes to the plate, he's already choked up a couple of inches.
Yep.
And there are times where I've seen him choke up even further than what we're looking at right now.
1-2 pitch, fouled back.
Yeah, I imagine Brian Price really doesn't care if Joey holds it on the other end of the bat, as long as he gets hits and drives in runs.
No question. Modest choke up once again. Try the 1-2 again. Lazy swing. Down goes Votto.
Big sweeping hook. Started the fastball in on the previous pitch, and he follows it with this Jim Dandy. Ball looks like it's coming at the middle of your back. You could see the hesitation in Votto's hips just momentarily before that ball took a heavy duty left turn.
3 strikeouts now for Gonzalez, and now Brandon Phillips. hit by a pitch back in the first. Gonzalez not paying much attention to Zach Cozart over there at first base. Zach only has 1 steal on the season. Early on in the season wasn't running at all, coming off of a knee injury from a year ago.
Watch Brandon Phillips' grip on the bat. It's almost the opposite of what you see with Votto.
Down there on that knob.
That bottom pinky on Phillips' left hand is around the knob of the bat, sometimes a little bit lower. And if you're asking why would you do that, it gives you more leverage and more bat head speed as you get the ball through the strike zone, but it gives you less control of the bat, as what we see with Votto when he's choked up on the bat.
Brandon would like to dig into that power source right now because he's gone 182 at bats without a home run.
He had that stretch early in May where he hit 5 home runs in 4 days.
Yep.
And hasn't hit one since.
Ties the longest homerless streak of his career. 45 games worth without a home run. The Red second baseman. Love one right here. 2-2 from Gonzalez. Got a piece. Jay Bruce on deck. Laid off that pitch, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, on that curveball, you can see that ball really break and see the depth of the ball as it comes to the plate. But with the fastball and the changeup, until you see the velocity on our screen or until you see the hitter lunge at it, you really can't tell if it's a changeup or if it's a fastball. And that is what you want for a pitcher on the mound. You don't want anyone to be able to tell by your body motion.
Cozart on the run with the 3-2 count and 2 outs, but doesn't matter. Gonzalez strikes out the side. Out at all of baseball, superstars come together for the prime time event that lights up the summer. The MLB All-Star Game this year in San Diego, coming up July 12th on Fox. (4-1) Nationals as we move to the bottom of the 3rd. Leading off this half for the Nationals, Wilson Ramos, the catcher. Brandon Finnegan, the lefty, goes back to work. He is facing a hot hitting Nationals team here in the month of June. Since June 1st, Washington ranks second among all National League squads with a .270 batting average coming in, second in on-base percentage, second in slugging percentage, second in OPS. They've hit 35 home runs, make that 36 home runs now with Zimmerman's long ball. They've gotten it done here in the month of June offensively.
Not exactly a team that you want to have 55 pitches before your first out in the third.
Ramos delivered a sacrifice RBI. Sacrifice fly RBI back in the first. Trailing only the Colorado Rockies. Batting average in June. Dusty Baker, a pretty good hitting coach in his day as well. Ramos. Foul ball. Saw Dusty today and he gives you that normal greeting. And he said something to me that I haven't heard in a long time. He said, "Man, skinny. You look skinny. You're looking good." I'm like, can you go tell that to Marty, because he wears me out about the stuff I eat? And he laughed, of course. Way upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Finnegan trying to use that changeup a little bit more here in the third to see if he can try to save a little bit of his energy, but it is not going his way.
2-2. This is again.
Already see a decline in velocity from Brandon Finnegan. He started the ball game hitting 93, 94. 2 fastballs in this inning, 89, 91.
Pitch number 60 on the night. And he walks his 4th batter. Brian Price has had that helpless feeling of looking on and not much you can do when your pitchers continue to walk batters. Most walks in the National League. Brandon Finnegan now second with 48 free passes. Only Francisco Liriano has more. The man on first. The first pitch strike to Anthony Rendon.
The toughest part about starting for any young pitcher, especially as you move along into the season, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 starts where you have nothing. Your arm feels like lead. Every time you let the ball go, it's going to, you aim down and in, it goes up and away. You aim middle away, it comes down and in. So you've got to figure out a way to compete. And that is the most trying time for any starting pitcher on the mound. You can work through it if you only have to pitch 1 inning. But when you're expected to go 6 or 7, it becomes awfully difficult in your head.
Well, you talk to Brandon about starting, and he'll tell you, well, I've started my whole life, including in college. But it's a whole different story when you get up here to the big league level. You can talk all you want about starting in college, high school. And he had a quick ascension. He was pitched in the College World Series and turned around and pitched in the Major League World Series in the same season. And he's always dealing with that question, starter or reliever. He desperately wants to be a starter in his career, but some see him long-term in the bullpen.
Well, the decision ultimately will be his. And what it comes down to, as we're seeing tonight, is command of the fastball.
Doan fights it off to stay alive.
But I think the thing that you have to love about watching Brandon Finnegan on a night like tonight, a lot of guys would just throw in the towel. He's all over the place, can't get the ball where he wants it to go. But the one thing that kid possesses that you can't teach is tenacity.
Outside 2-2, and you can just tell by the body language of Finnegan.
Yeah, he's fighting himself.
Cowboy, I know you've been there. Some nights you just not coming out.
If you pitch long enough, you will find yourself in that spot.
Doan lays off. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
And it goes both ways. There are times at the plate where everything looks like a beach ball, and you're hitting them left, right, all over the place. And then there are other nights where pitches look like a golf ball, and you can't hit anything.
This is the 6th full count already in this game for Finnegan. Throw over. Wilson Ramos has not even attempted a stolen base this year.
I would imagine here shortly that bullpen phone will begin to ring. Not that we'll hear it where we are.
And he walks back-to-back hitters here to start the 3rd.
I think I hear it.
And here comes Brian Price to the mound. There's no one warming up now, so this is going to be what they call a checkup from the neck up right here. There you see Mark Riggins, the pitching coach, on the phone. This is certainly a one-way discussion right here. Brian Price, the former pitching coach, has made many of these trips to the mound.
And I think the conversation with Brian right now and Brandon Finnegan is exactly what you and I were just talking about. Brian's telling him, look, I know you don't have anything. I know you're battling as tough as you can. Let's just get the ball in the strike zone and let's create contact. We're not going to create swing and miss stuff here tonight. Let's create contact, weak contact, and let your guys help you behind you.
It's like Josh Smith just took off his.
That's who it is.
Yep. Smith is very well for the Reds. Their so-called long man out of the bullpen, and he might be called on here. Finnegan is near 70 pitches. Walked the first 2 here in the 3rd. 2 on, nobody out. Ryan Zimmerman delivered a 3-run home run back in the 1st. And he's got 2 on again and rips one into left field. Hard hit ball will keep the runners at 2nd and 3rd. But now the base is loaded and nobody out.
Pulls a fastball down and in. And Zimmerman right on it.
And now Chris Heisey. Single off of Finnegan back in the 1st. The Nationals sent 8 to the plate. Middle infield, a double play depth. They'll certainly trade a run for a double play right here. In fact, no one playing in the Cincinnati infield.
At this point, you'll trade a run for an out.
Yep. One pitch to Heisey. Fly ball short center field. Hamilton charging and it's got it. Basket catch and the runners will stay put. Big out for Finnegan. Willie Mays catch.
You could hear Billy Hamilton. Well, you couldn't hear it, but you could see him calling that awfully early. And Phillips bails off to the left field side. I don't think Hamilton wants to get around any of his other teammates with the ball in the air for right now.
Well, with Brandon Phillips, as we've seen over the years, if you're an outfielder, you better call it early because he will be out there, whether it be at short center field or certainly out there in right. Loves to chase him down. Hamilton likes to go get him. So Finnegan has a good chance here. He's facing the 8th batter and Danny Espinosa, who he struck out in the 1st, and then he's got the pitcher to follow. So a chance to get out of this bases loaded jam if he can get Espinosa. Or better yet, double play ball would be his best friend right now.
Only thing with Espinosa, you just don't want to let him keyhole you on a fastball that you've got to throw for a strike late in the count. You get him to chase a pitch at this point in the count, you're much better off than trying to groove one 2-1 or 3-1. Maybe hitting 8th, but he can get the ball out of the ballpark.
Swing and a miss. He was thinking granny right there. Finnegan ahead 1-2. Long look into his battery mate Tucker Barnhart. He's got what he wants. Now brings the 1-2 pitch. Fouled off. And a lot of trips to that rosin bag tonight. Fifth pitch of the inning on its way. Inside. Barnhart keeps it in front of him. And we're at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. And the 2-2 hit well, left center field, and that one is way out of here. Grand slam home run, Danny Espinosa, and the Nationals have blown this one wide open. Well, you talked about it. Just because he hits 8 doesn't mean he can't hit it out of the park.
No, and with his swing, anything that's out over the plate, he can really cover. And that's where Finnegan has been the entire night. Up and arm side and away. And Espinosa didn't miss that at all. He got every bit of it.
14th home run of the season for Espinosa. And that's going to be it for Brandon Finnegan.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Brandon Finnegan just 2 1/3 innings tonight. 2 home runs, a 3-run home run, and a grand slam. 5 hits, 8 runs. They were all earned. Walked 5 batters, 2 strikeouts, and just didn't have it from the get-go. And that's a lonely feeling on the bench.
Well, this is a ball. You just have to forget this ball game. Pitch too well to let one ball game disrupt everything you're trying to do. And you're going to have games like this. You and I talked about this in the first inning.
And now Josh Smith on. He's facing Gio Gonzalez. And I got to tell you, Cowboy, Josh Smith would love to be a starter. He's started in the past for Cincinnati, but he may have carved a niche for himself.
I was going to say that. I think seeing Smith start last year, as he strikes out Gonzalez there, seeing him start last year, I think as you went into the offseason, he was a name you forgot about. You just said, all right, well, he's not going to be able to help us. But having a new opportunity, and this is really what this rebuild is all about. You want to find out, all right, where can these guys fit? Can they help us at all? Well, I think Josh Smith he's found his niche. Maybe as a long man, maybe in the 6th and 7th innings. But the key for Josh is he has come out of the bullpen throwing strikes with both the breaking ball and the fastball. He's not out there trying to dance around the strike zone.
Michael Taylor fouls off a 91-mile-per-hour fastball. Taylor 0 for 1 on the night. Walked in the first, scored a run. Check swing. Votto's got it. Take it himself. The 3rd out, but damage done. Grand slam home run. Danny Espinosa and the Nationals up big time. That is a star-studded cast. General manager, president of baseball operations, I should say, Walt Jocketty. Lou Piniella on the trip. Our sales guy, Trey Dolly, and they are entertaining some Washington, D.C. sponsors. And sitting next to Walt Jocketty, the color analyst for your Cleveland Cavaliers, one Austin Carr. So the bigwigs up there.
You know, it doesn't appear that their suite is as high as our broadcast booth. They've got a better view than we have. What's up with that?
As Jay Bruce steps in against Gonzalez, I was just reminded by our esteemed producer Josh Hall that it is the world champion Cleveland Cavaliers.
Don't mess that up.
Well, we're not used to saying it. Congratulations again to the Cavs. And Austin Carr, one of the most colorful color analysts in the NBA. It's one of his sayings. Don't bring that weak stuff in here. Throwing the hammer down. They love them some Austin Carr up in Cavs land. And he's given an earful to Walt. Walt finally getting a word in. Swing and a miss. Jay Bruce down on strikes. Third consecutive strikeout of Reds batters for Gio Gonzalez. 5 on the night. They say Gio Gonzalez is quite the conversationalist. During a typical day at the ballpark, he'll chat up teammates, reporters, umpires, autograph seekers, vendors, bat boys. He'll just wear you out. And he'll also, as you see right there, talk to himself on the mound a ton. He's facing Duvall. And he got it off of Dallas Braden, a fellow left-hander. They played together with the Athletics, but Braden would talk to the ball, the actual baseball. Gonzalez says he doesn't do that. He turns the dialogue inward and talks to himself, gives himself a pep talk. Come on, Gio. Did you ever chat to yourself on the mound?
Yes.
You
yes,
did?
I did. As a matter of fact.
How would the conversation go?
Come on. Better than that. Let's go. Put the ball down. Kind of like that. Sometimes a little more colorful than I can actually say on the air.
We got you.
Sometimes I would talk to the players on the other team after they maybe swung through a fastball or something like that.
Just missed. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Did you ever talk to the ball?
No.
Apparently Dallas Braden does that. Called third strike. 4th consecutive strikeout for Gonzalez.
It's amazing what a 7-run lead will do for you. Stop worrying about making perfect pitches and just let the ball go, and look what happens.
He's fanned a bunch in his career versus the Reds. Highest amongst all active pitchers versus Cincinnati. And a big cut by Eugenio Suarez. Gonzalez was the losing pitcher back on June 3rd, but in 7 starts, which includes that start on June 3rd, 2-2 record and 2.58 ERA. So he's punched out a lot, and he's kept the Reds off the scoreboard for the most part in 7 starts. Career versus the Reds. Reds just hitting 195 in their career off of Gio. Talking to himself again.
And I would imagine before that 9-hit outing he had in Cincinnati that the batting average was quite a bit lower than what it is now.
Gonzalez strikes out the side. 5 punch outs in a row. Suddenly, he's found his game. series, the Reds will miss Max Scherzer. Last night, though, 7 1/3 innings. Just 2 hits, no runs as the Nationals swept the Mets. 10 strikeouts, which leads us to our Quicken Loans Rocket Arms June National League strikeout leaders. Max Scherzer with 58 punch-outs in just 41 1/3 innings. Over that stretch, 4-1 with a 1.96 ERA. John Lester, as we saw recently, also getting it done, 44 strikeouts. And in June, 4-0 with a 1.41 earned run average. Josh Smith facing the 2-hole hitter in Jason Worth. Doubled, walked, scored a run already. Shoots it into right field. Bruce going back to the track, has room. A long out. And now he'll face the dynamic duo of Daniel Murphy and then Wilson Ramos, and that's tonight's IGS Bringing the Energy. Murphy and Ramos, look at this. 346 average. The rest of the team 230. Look at the disparity between average with runners in scoring position, on base percentage, and slugging percentage. They have been a dynamic duo, and Daniel Murphy goes the opposite way for his first hit of the game. Pretty good 1-2 punch in the lineup.
Yeah, when you have those kind of guys, you just need folks to get on ahead of them. And that leadoff spot for the Nationals has been an empty spot, to be honest with you.
Just picking up the game, Bryce Harper has the night off tonight. And even though his numbers are down this year, reigning National League MVP, and you've got Harper in there with Murphy and Ramos. You've got Max Scherzer as a starting pitcher. You can see why Dusty Baker wanted this job. There's Max. Nationals 47 and 32, 5.5 game lead in the National League East. 5.5 ahead of the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, I think ultimately when this team was put together, there were a lot of folks questioning the bullpen of the Washington Nationals as they came into the 2016 season, but that's been a tremendous strength for this club, even with their closer Jonathan Papelbon on the disabled list.
John Kelly's been serving as their closer. Papelbon is eligible this weekend to come off the DL, but they don't expect him to. A rehab appearance with Potomac, nearby Potomac, one of the minor league affiliates for the Nationals, and they want him to go back-to-back, and he'll do that barring anything unforeseen tomorrow and Saturday. So unlikely the Reds will see him in this series.
But that man right there, Steven Strasburg, he's about to come off the disabled list.
Well, we didn't even mention him. We talk about Scherzer, and then you've got Strasburg, 10-0 with a 2.90 ERA in 14 starts. On the 15-day disabled list with an upper back strain, retroactive to June 16th. But he also had a weight room incident where 2 ribs had to be popped back into place. MRI on Monday revealed no further damage. And right now, Sunday, their starter is TBA. If you listen to their general manager, he says Strasburg could very well make that start. If you listen to the manager, Dusty Baker, which I did before the game, he said he would lean towards giving Strasburg more time off. So it's a wait and see on that one. But if Strasburg can't go, it's not like it gets any easier for the Reds. Ramos rips one into the left field corner. Duvall's got it. They're going to hold up Murphy at second, but a stand-up double Wilson Ramos, and trouble brewing here again in the fourth.
Looked like a breaking ball that Tucker Barnhart wanted outside, and the ball hangs middle in. And you throw a pitch like that to a hitter like Wilson Ramos, you're lucky it was only a double.
Second and third, one out here in the fourth. Finishing that thought on Strasburg, not like it gets any easier if he can't go Sunday. Lucas Giolito, who many referred to as the top prospect in all of Major League Baseball, could make his second big league start on Sunday. So pick your poison if you're the Reds. Giolito or Strasburg. The Nationals are that kind of good. Swing and a miss by Anthony Rendon. Rendon has walked both times he's been up in this game and scored each time. Big swing and a miss. Throw down to second base. Phillips does a nice job of keeping that ball in front of him on the one hop.
Looked like Rendon got in front of Tucker Barnhart. It was almost a borderline interference there.
Infield in for Cincinnati, trying to cut off that runner at home plate. One-two pitch. Check swing. Check down to first base. Gary Cederstrom says indeed, bring him up.
Tried to check his swing on the breaking ball, but he just could not do it. Watch Rendon at the end of this swing. He tries to check his swing, then he raises the bat as if he's going to try to just slam it down on the ground in frustration. I don't think so.
Second strikeout of the game for Josh Smith, and now Ryan Zimmerman. Reds infield will move back with 2 outs. Ryan Zimmerman, one of the big blasts in this game, a 3-run home run in the first. Danny Espinosa, grand slam in the third. So now the Nationals with 106 home runs on the season as a team. They came in tied for first in that category in the National League. They can hurt you in many ways, including the long ball. They'll take their walks too. As we're going to get an intentional pass here to Zimmerman.
We've thrown back-to-back breaking balls, both of which were off the plate. And if you're Brian Price, you're thinking, all right, do I want to have my pitcher groove one on a fastball to a guy that's hit the ball hard both times tonight, or do I take my chances with a new count and the bases loaded?
Sixth walk given up by Reds pitching tonight. One intentional. Now the Nationals, 283 walks on the season. They came in 4th most in the National League. First pitch strike. Heisey couldn't believe it.
If you think about that, that's now 13 base runners and what, 3 2/3 innings?
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of folks on base.
It's a lot of pitching from the stretch.
A lot of pitching, period.
1 ball, 1 strike to the former Red. Big swing and a miss by Heisey. Bases loaded, 2 outs. It's blocked by Barnhart.
One pitch from Smith, a very short slider that he got the swing from Heisey. Tried to extend the break on that pitch. Didn't start enough over the plate to entice Heisey to swing.
Two. Up the middle, base hit. It's going to score 1. They're going to wave around the second runner. 2 RBI single, Chris Heisey. The Nationals play add-on.
The danger of throwing a lot of breaking balls early in the count when you do have to go back to the breaking ball. Well, the batter's already seen your best pitch or your out pitch if it goes.
Nationals with a little copy of the Jets chant you hear in the National Football League. It's J-E-T-S, Jets, 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 but here it's N-A-T-S, Nats, Nats, Nats. We've heard it a bunch already, but 10-1 Nationals lead. Mama said there'd be days like this.
Look down from above and you see your position players walking left and right, stretching their necks, kind of turning side to side. Not a good sign.
2-0 pitch driven into left center field. Could it be the second home run of the game for Espinosa? Indeed it is. Espinosa, a grand slam, and now a 3-run home run. And this one's ugly. Back-to-back plate appearances, back-to-back home runs for Espinosa. Now 15 of them on the season. Celebration in the Nats dugout. Let's see if he gets to Jason Worth here because they have a unique celebration. And well, they slap each other in the face. That's how unique it is.
Well, this has officially been the worst start we've seen from Brandon Finnegan and the worst outing that Josh Smith has had, and they just happen to coincide on the same night in the same ball game.
Curtain call for Espinosa. Now 7 runs driven in this game. We're only in the 4th.
Well, it looks like the guy that hits the home run gets to slap you a little harder than the guy that's waiting for you in the dugout.
I imagine I'd like to know what Worth's slap is when he hits the home run. I think he might put a little more muscle into it.
I hope we don't have to see it tonight.
I'm with you there. I am with you there. Slow roller down to Suarez. And mercifully, the end of the 4th inning. Tough night at the office so far for the Cincinnati Reds. That was brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News Best Children's Hospital. Nation's capital. The statue of Josh Gibson, former member of the Washington Grays, the Negro League. One of the best players that the Negro League has ever seen. His name retired here at Nationals Park. Pretty shot. There you see him. The Washington Grays. They have 3 sets of teams that are retired up there. Washington Senators, Washington Grays, and this franchise is the former Montreal Expos. A couple of them retired as well. Billy Hamilton will take his 2nd at-bat of the game. Just joining us. Reds had to wait till late to get the clearance whether Hamilton was going to play or not. Taking a ball off the cheek yesterday. Do want to clarify that he did not suffer a concussion yesterday, Billy. He never had a concussion. They simply sent him through the protocol today because of his concussion history.
And the fact that he got hit in the head with the ball.
Right.
That would qualify that.
But definitely want to clarify that he did not suffer a concussion yesterday. A bruised left cheek is the official diagnosis. Billy draws a walk. 3rd walk of the game given up by Gio Gonzalez. Billy, with a team leading 19 stolen bases on the season, has been caught 4 times. The Reds down 13-1. I'm sure you'll be seeing him run here.
Well, in this ball game, it's 13-1. The chances of you coming back in this ball game are pretty slim. But if you put some runs on the board and chase Gonzalez from the game, you get into the bullpen. This is a 4-game series. You'd like to make Dusty Baker use his bullpen as much as you possibly can in this first ball game. I'm sure Dusty's not real happy with what he's seeing from Gio Gonzalez right now. A 12-run lead. You just walked a guy, and now it's 2-0. It's like Michael Lorenzen throwing down in the Reds bullpen.
Indeed, it is the righty warming up. Two balls, one strike. Tucker Barnhart. Swing and a miss, 2-2. And the 2-2 pitch. Eighth strikeout of the night for Gio Gonzalez.
2-2 changeup after he throws 2 balls by you. Not exactly what you're looking for.
Gonzalez has struck out 6 of his last 7 batters faced. Now Josh Smith will get an AB. Swing and a miss. Down 13-1. They certainly would like to see some innings out of Josh Smith, and he's given it to him before. Thus taking the at bat here against Gonzalez.
Yeah, Lorenzen got up to throw, and now he has ceased all throwing.
Now
he does a little pro hop as he would when he played the outfield.
Yep. He's a college center fielder. Used to warm up in the outfield. He'd know he'd be the closer. In the 8th inning, he'd start throwing to one of his outfield mates like he was warming up to go in the game, which he did often. Another strikeout for Gio Gonzalez. Seven of 8 punched out by the Nationals lefty. And now Zach Kozar. 2 plate appearances, 2 walks.
Yeah, you see a lot of times with guys in the bullpen, when the phone rings, they get up in the bullpen and they throw the entire time until they either come into the ball game or the inning is over and they sit down. Well, just not 24 hours ago, we watched a guy come jog in from left field that had not been throwing at all and shut down the game, and that would be the former Red left-hander Travis Wood.
Tell you what, Joe Madden was a wizard in that game. You don't see that often in Major League Baseball. You certainly see it on the college level and high school level. Not often in the big leagues. One-two to Kozar. And you don't see a manager making a trip to the mound with a glove. Travis Wood had an outfield glove and a pitching glove, and Madden brought it out to him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball to short. They go the short way to get Hamilton. 3rd out here in the 5th. This one all Nationals. Back the T-Mobile Home Run Derby on ESPN, then July 11th at 8 Eastern. The very next night, biggest stars in the 87th All-Star Game presented by MasterCard, July 12th on Fox. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern. We look forward to that. And in 2018, the Midsummer Classic will be right here at Nationals Park. And that will be quite the affair here in the nation's capital. Well, we saw Josh Smith hit, but Michael Lorenzen is indeed in this game.
Only the 3rd time we've seen Lorenzen in a ball game. And I'm sure that the Reds would like to get some seasoning for Lorenzen, get him used to being back out on the big league mound, and then move him towards the back of the bullpen. But results matter, and he's got to start getting some guys out with some consistency.
Well, the home run ball has been a problem in his brief return so far. And I know, Cowboy, you'd like to see him turn into a pitcher and not just a thrower.
Well, I'd like to see him be able to locate the fastball a little bit better than what we're seeing right now. He's fallen off to the first base side, his hands rotating way too early. That's why you see the breaking ball spinning either in the middle of the plate or on the inside part of the plate. Very few times has he been able to locate that pitch down and away from his arm side, and that's a key for any pitcher.
.99 on Art Gunn.
I mean, you want the guy to be able to air it out, and that's what he's doing in this relief role. But you still have to stay sound mechanically. You see where that breaking ball ends up, way on the inside part of the plate. Michael has that quick turn at the top. He picked that up from Johnny Cueto when Johnny was here, and I think he feels like he hides the ball better by doing that. But you can't rotate and spin at the same time.
Fly ball center field. Hamilton's got it. 1 out. We talked about earlier the college closer, Michael Lorenzen. And when he was starting for the Reds, you see many pitches, velocity, not quite what you're going to see it out of the pen. He rears back and lets it go. Well, let me ask you this: at times of what you've seen in the brief stint coming out of the bullpen, is he overthrowing?
I don't think he's overthrowing. I think he's over rotating. You rotate your hips, but then you throw over that front shoulder. And a lot of times when the front leg comes up and goes back, it's still moving forward as he starts to come to the plate. So it makes him fly off towards the first base side. His hand gets away from his head, it stays flat, and he doesn't get the same drive to the plate.
He's facing a pinch hitter in Clint Robinson, who grounds one softly to Phillips. 2 outs. So Clint Robinson into the game. He just hit for Jason Worth. We would assume it would just be that the Nationals, with the ginormous lead here, going to give their normal guys the rest of the night off. Back-to-back pinch hitters here now. Stephen Drew. Pitch inside to Stephen Drew. And so inside that it hit him.
Set up in. You want to drive it in there. Just held on to it a bit too long.
That has to aggravate a pitcher. Got him on the jersey. Now Wilson Ramos. Ramos has delivered a sacrifice fly RBI, walked and scored in the 3rd, doubled and scored in the 4th. Season average now up to 342. Second in the league.
I think Tucker Barnhart is seeing what I'm seeing. So much rotation at the top of release point for Lorenzen. He's only had 1 pitch that he's been able to drive down and away to a right-handed batter in this so far brief outing. And that pitch was supposed to be down and away, and he left it right in the middle of the plate.
One ball, one strike. Speed pitch at 81. 1-2. Looks like Lorenzen is wearing his own glove nowadays, and the reason I say that is because he used to wear a glove of Aroldis Chapman and used to wear spikes given to him by Aroldis Chapman. When he first came up, Chapman was taking care of him. Now he's got his own glove with his own name. Now we look at, which most major leaguers do. Nothing new. Strikes out Ramos. Saturday baseball night in America returns with the showdown between these Reds and Nationals at 7 Eastern on your local Fox station. Then the Yankees battle the Padres at 9:30 Eastern in a game you can only see on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. (13-1). Nationals. Behind 7 RBIs from Danny Espinosa as Gio Gonzalez climbs the hill. Inning number 6, he'll face Joey Votto to lead off for the Reds. Votto first pitch swinging and hit it well. Joey gone. 14th home run of the season for Joey Votto.
All 3 at bats tonight for Votto. First pitch swinging. Wants the fastball down and away, leaves it middle in. Joey leaves it over the bullpen in left field.
Now Brandon Phillips, also first pitch swinging, sends it into right field for a base hit. Second home run allowed to Joey Votto since the start of the 2014 season.
And you see that little note in the bottom. Only one home run to all of the other left-handed batters he's faced. That's 358 other lefties he's been dominating.
Three first pitch swinging at bats for the Reds, and Bruce laces one, and they're going to hold Phillips at third base.
What
So
you want
home run, single, double.
But you want to bet this next pitch is a curveball or a changeup, because all 3 of those first pitches fastballs, and they all got laced.
First hit of the night for Jay.
This is what you're taught as a pitcher. You have an 11-run lead. Get ahead in the count with the first pitch. The Reds trying not to allow that to happen.
19 doubles now on the season for Jay Bruce. That ties Zach Cozart for the team lead. Now pitching coach Mike Maddox will make his way back to the dugout after a little conversation with Gio. And now Adam Duvall leads the major leagues in home runs with 22. First pitch swinging as well. Ripped it, but foul.
We threw him a curveball, but it's still not. The Reds are still swinging at it.
Balls, 2 strikes to Adam. I must correct myself. Trumbo has 23 home runs in the American League to lead the majors, but Duvall leading the National League. Ground 1 to short. 6-3 put out. Phillips scores. The 3rd run of the game for Cincinnati. .55 RBIs on the season for Adam Duvall. Votto moves to third. And 1 out in the inning. Eugenio Suarez. Excuse me, Bruce to third. Suarez 1 for 2 on the night. Right back to Gonzalez. Bruce has to hold. Second out of the inning. Gonzalez pitch count up to 93. No one warming up in the Nationals pen. First pitch to Billy Hamilton. Hamilton struck out in the second, walked in the fifth. Gonzalez has thrown 116 pitches in a game this season. So with a big lead, I think Dusty Baker wants at least 7 out of him tonight, if he can get through the rest of this 6th inning. Rio to Hamilton. All 4. Fourth walk of the game given up by Gio Gonzalez. A couple trades made today in the bigs. Bud Norris, who started slowly for Atlanta, has really come on this month. I'm not sure of what's going to happen with Clayton Kershaw, so they acquire the pitcher in a 5-player deal. And Fernando Rodney, we just saw him. The Miami Marlins get him from the Padres. It's Tucker Barnhart lines one into left field. 1 run will score, and Hamilton slides in safely at third. Barnhart getting in on the RBI parade here in the 6th. 13th RBI of the season for Tucker. Reds showing a little bit of life, albeit down 13-4. They put 3 on the board here in the 6th.
Yeah, the Dodgers are going to be tested a bit without Clayton Kershaw. He's kind of the Superman that everybody hangs on his cape over there in Los Angeles. And without him, even though their bullpen has pitched awfully well here in the last month and a half, they are going to be challenged greatly. And Bud Norris has thrown the ball well in Atlanta, but we all know there is no other Clayton Kershaw.
No. Hook out. That goes right into the screen, out of the hands of pitcher Michael Lorenzen. Hello. Cozart just calmly tried to catch it. No big deal to Zach. Fielding a hot shot down there at short. 0-2 pitch to Lorenzen. Lorenzen, a former college center fielder, could swing it a bit. One-two. Wild pitch allows Barnhart to go down to second base. So now second and third. 2 outs. 102 pitches now for Gonzalez. Now action in the Nationals pen.
It's like Matt Bilal throwing for the Nationals in their pen.
Former Red. There's Matt. Two balls, two strikes, two outs, two on. Now Ramos and Gonzalez will talk it over.
Well, Gonzalez shook him off the first time. Second time he stepped off the rubber, he shook him off again, and then that time, instead of shaking him off, he just steps off the back of the rubber and looks down at the ground, and Ramos immediately jogs out to the hill.
Got what he wants this time. And pours it plateward. Fouled off. Comes Gonzalez with the 2-2. In the air to right. Chris Heisey's got it for the third out. The Reds do put 3 on the board here in the 6th. Girlfriends, don't miss this year's A Night of Their Own presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. Enjoy dinner, an open bar, throw a pitch from the mound, snag some fly balls in the outfield, meet manager Brian Price, and much, much more. Plus, this year you'll get cool red swag, including a watch and wine tumbler. Sign up today at reds.com/events. That has turned into a very cool event. Michael Lorenzen on for his second inning of work. We do have some changes defensively for Cincinnati. Down at first base or in right field, Tyler Holt into the game replacing Jay Bruce. And at first, Ivan DeJesus Jr. Anthony Rendon will lead off the 6th inning for the Nationals. Just joining us, the Nationals scored 4 in the first, 4 in the third, and 5 in the fourth. Brian Price thinking about the bigger picture and bringing in some reserves for Bruce and Votto. It is a 4-game set here against the Nationals. 3 against the Red Hot Cubs. And then 3 in Miami to close out the so-called first half of the season. It'll take us up to the All-Star break, this 3-city 10-game trip.
I think the Reds had to know they were in for a very difficult road trip playing some of the top teams in the game right now. Washington, Chicago, and Miami may be playing as good or better than all of them.
Yeah. Those were straight up moves. DeJesus will hit in the 2 slot, and Tyler Holt hit in the 4 spot. Slow roller. No one has a play. Swinging bunt, if you will. Anthony Rendon reaches with an infield hit.
A breaking ball from Lorenzen. It stays in the middle of the plate, has good downward action. Rendon hits right on the top of it, and there is nothing Lorenzen nor Suarez can do.
How frustrating is that as a pitcher?
That's when you want to turn around over there and look at the guy at first and say, are you really going to take that? You're going to take that? I'll give you a do-over.
The frustrations of baseball.
Of course, there are times, I'm sure, as a hitter, you want to look out to the mound and say, are you really going to take that for a called strike on that curveball that's up about neck high?
Double play ball here. 4-3 double play as Phillips steps on the bag at second, delivers it over to DeJesus. 2 down.
Did you notice when Brandon Phillips caught that ball, he was looking right at Zach Cozart as if to say, I don't need you right here. I got it. You just hang out over there, rest a little bit. It's been a long night. Watch Phillips. He gets it. He checks out. Cozart, nah, I'm going to do it.
Those two have turned a bunch of double plays together. Still talking to him. Phillips could talk a little bit on the field. I don't know if you've noticed.
Brandon?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Really?
Chris Heisey working on a 2-for-3 night against his former club. Couple of singles. RBI single back in the 4th. Got a 2 RBI single. A 2-2 pitch to Heisey. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout. Michael Lorenzen's outing. 1, 2, 3, 6. We're off to the 7th here at Nationals Park. Summary, and it's been the long ball. It started early. Ryan Zimmerman, 3-run job off of Brandon Finnegan in the first. And then in the third, the Danny Espinosa show started. Grand slam home run, the last batter Finnegan faced. And then his next time up, 3-run home run off of Josh Smith. Danny Espinosa, 7 RBIs, becoming the first player in Expos/Nationals history since Jeff Blum to hit a home run from both sides of the plate, since Blum did it July 5th, 2001. And he's the first player in franchise history to hit a home run from both sides of the plate, and one of them being a grand slam. Former Red Matt Belisle, the new pitcher for the Nationals. "12 games, 1.54 ERA. Zach Kozar, fly ball left center field. Left fielder Robinson has it, 1 out.
Yeah, Belisle has not been back long. On his 6th or 7th ball game, he suffered the right calf injury. He spent a majority of this first half on the disabled list. And it really gave an opportunity to some guys in that Nationals bullpen to show what they have, and it was a difficult decision for the Nationals to make the move. Yes, they want to have Belisle in their bullpen, but there were so many guys down there that were throwing the ball good. They'll have an even tougher decision when Jonathan Papelbon, their closer, comes off the disabled list, and that's going to be just around the corner.
Close the book on Gio Gonzalez. On a normal night, you would think, well, the Reds got to him a bit. 6 innings, 4 earned runs. He walked 4 batters, but did strike out 9. But when the Nationals put 13 on the board, it will be overlooked. The 4 runs he gave up, unless the Reds can come up with a big-time comeback. Ivan DeJesus Jr. entered the game last inning defensively for Joey Votto, now getting his first crack at the dish. A ball to the right side. Lyles got it. 2 outs. Now Brandon Phillips, 1 for 2, a single, hit by a pitch, scored a run. Pitch to the Reds' second baseman. Big swing and a miss. Oh, and 2. Two for 5 in his career with a punch out. Against the former Reds right-hander. Or as Cowboy would say, the right-hander. Can you give me one of those? Right-hander.
Right-hander. Sure. Yeah, Bilal pitched out in Colorado for quite a bit of time, even more so than he did with the Reds. Put up some pretty good numbers in a Rockies uniform.
Yeah.
And that is a tough place to pitch.
I don't know if they still call him, but he used to call him the Joker because he pitched for the Reds. Looks that he'd have on his face looked like the Joker minus the makeup. I'm not sure which Red might have given him that nickname. It might have been David Weathers. Served into right field, base hit. Brandon Phillips. You know what? Dan Kolko. Check him out down there. That's my counterpart. I'm normally down in the camera well, and there have been some hot shots down in the camera well. So he's down there with a motorcycle helmet on. That is not part of my uniform. I have never been given a motorcycle helmet.
Yet.
I feel left out.
Yet.
Of course, they might have a tough time trying to find one that'll fit this big melon.
Well, that one he had on looked like it would fit you and not him.
Tyler Holt with his first at bat of the game. One thing I don't think we have to worry about up here: foul balls.
Not a chance. You could throw the ball up in the air and swing as hard as you could and hit it up here. Not happening.
1-2 pitch to Holt into center field, base hit. Phillips will stop at second. Back-to-back base hits off of Matt Belisle.
Well, if the Reds get one more hit, they will have tied the Nationals here tonight in hits, but trail by 9.
When you hit them out of the park, particularly with runners on base, therein lies the problem. 7 of those 13 runs, 10 of those 13 runs via the home run tonight. Now Adam Duvall, right at Zimmerman, out number 3. Tomorrow night when the Reds take on the Nationals. Reds Live kicks it off at 5:30. Note that start time. We're an hour earlier tomorrow night. Swing into summer on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Miller Lite. Tomorrow night, it'll be the righty Anthony DeSclafani going to the hill, and Cowboy last time out, 8 innings of scoreless baseball.
Hard running sinker, kept the ball down in the zone. When he did go up, it was for purpose. DeSclafani, one of those types of pitchers, he takes it some kind of serious when it's his day to pitch. He expects to win.
And you'll hear from Anthony tomorrow on Reds Live at 5:30. Danny Espinosa. To say that Michael Lorenzen is going to be careful with this guy might be an understatement. 2 for 3, 2 home runs, career high 7 runs batted in, including his 4th career multi-home run game. Right back at Lorenzen. Lorenzen makes the play. It looked like he might have twisted his ankle or something when he planted the throw.
Like he slipped just a bit as he planted the throw. Trying to pirouette and throw at the same time. Let's see where this ball hits Lorenzen.
Ow.
I'm not sure where it got him.
Double whammy on that. Infielders came in to see if Lorenzen was okay, and apparently he is. Lorenzen called off the trainers, didn't want any part of them coming out. And now Matt Belisle will hit. He's one of those unusual guys, really unusual, in that he throws right and bats left. You really don't see that often. Called third strike. 2 up, 2 down here in the 7th. Michael Lorenzen. The popular Bark in the Park, presented by Ives and Kroger, is back. Purchase your Bark in the Park package and bring your furry friend to the park. Get a dog jersey and more. Hurry, spots are going fast per usual. Visit reds.com/dogday. Purchase today. Now Michael Taylor. Take his 5th at bat of the game. Got him. Hit by pitch. That is the 2nd one of the game from Cincinnati pitching. Ouch.
Didn't catch him much, but just enough on the inside. Maybe got him just above the hip.
First pitch strike to Clint Robinson. Came on for Jason Worth back in the 5th. Grounded out. 29,386 in the yard tonight. Grounded to first. To Jesus. Easy play. The Nationals strand run here in the 7th. We're off to the 8th from the nation's capital. Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. And by Toyota, for over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. (13-4) Nationals. You look at the Washington Monument. Tell you what, every time we come to D.C., it never gets old. To see the monuments, to see the Capitol building. And a new pitcher on for the Nationals. It's Felipe Rivera, the left-hander. 37 games this season. Got an ERA up there, 6.09. Opponent's hitting .242 off of Rivera. And he'll do battle with Eugenio Suarez to lead off the 8th here for Cincinnati. You know, Cowboy, we have talked about being high above here and no foul ball, no worry of a foul ball hitting us. Apparently a couple of years ago, our boy Don Sutton tried to hit fungos from home plate up to the booth when there was no one in the stands, Bobby.
Did he have to have surgery after doing that?
He did not. But apparently he couldn't get the job done. That's how far we are away. He couldn't hit a fungo up here.
Well, Don's no spring chicken.
Well, that's true.
I don't think the players could hit it up here. Matter of fact, I don't think you could shoot it out of a bazooka and get it up here.
9-iron. We could get it done with a 9-iron.
I don't know.
With a golf ball, please.
Dude, that's a long way down there.
I know.
If you fell out of this booth, they wouldn't even recognize you. You'd be just smushed.
Don't get any ideas.
I'm leaning back here.
We're up there yonder, as they say in Mississippi.
You're up there, all right.
Tell you what, I look good in a silhouette. That's my best look. Lead-off walk to Eugenio Suarez.
That's a good line right there.
Oh, I look good in silhouette.
I may use that when I'm talking about you.
Go ahead. It wouldn't be the worst thing said about it. The way your radio partner wears me out.
You gotta love Marty.
I'm scarred of the verbal abuse over the years from the Hall of Famer. Billy Hamilton has struck out and walked twice. Tough night for Brandon Finnegan if you're just joining us. Went only 2 1/3. 8 earned runs. And not much better for Josh Smith, who has pitched very well for Cincinnati. He goes an inning and 2/3 and gives up 5 earned runs.
And I think if you look at the starts throughout the year for Brandon Finnegan, this is really the first one that has just been a very difficult start where he couldn't work himself at least into the 5th inning. This was a labor-intensive start from the first batter on for Brandon tonight, and you're going to have them, folks. You are going to have them.
Just didn't look comfortable throwing any pitch tonight. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Hamilton. 10th strikeout of the night for Nationals pitching. Nationals bullpen this season, 3.18 ERA, first in the National League.
And let's remember, they traded Drew Storen, who was their closer last year. And their closer this year, Jonathan Papelbon, has been on the disabled list for the last 3.5 weeks.
And Dusty Baker was asked about working the bullpen before today's game, and this is a question that has just followed him throughout his career about managing the bullpen, and he's always gotten criticism for it. That was a nice play right there by the pitcher Felipe Rivera. Beautiful turn of a double play. We're off to the bottom of the 8th. We promise. Our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. We're going to take you back to this day in Reds history in 2006. What a night it was. Adam Dunn with a walk-off grand slam against the Indians. Reds were down by 4 runs in the 9th. And that was as dramatic of a comeback as we have seen. Adam Dunn, the former Red, the former Washington National.
Well, if they come back here tonight, they'll be showing it 10 years from now. You can book it.
The pitcher for Cincinnati is righty Blake Wood. Double switch by Brian Price. Jose Peraza has entered the game at second base. He will hit in the 9 spot. Phillips leaves the game. Stephen Drew was hit by a pitch back in the 5th. Entered the game in the 5th, replacing Daniel Murphy. Wood follows Smith and Lorenzen out of the pen in this game. Michael Lorenzen, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 3 punchouts. Hard hit ball into right field. That'll go all the way to the wall. Drew into second base, sliding for a double. So the Washington Nationals are certainly adding to their run differential this year. They came in plus 84 in run differential. And you would think, mercy, that's got to be first in the National League, right? Nope, second. And it's a big disparity. The Cubs came in with a plus 170 run differential. Plus 170.
Well, that would be over twice what theirs is. If I can do my Mississippi State math there, 2 times 8. That's crazy.
Well, they put the hurting on Cincinnati. A 3-game sweep at GABP. These Nationals have taken care of business against their division foes. They came in 27-13 versus the East, but against the Central just 9-11, including losing 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati earlier this month. They're also 2-5 against the West. But however you break it up, Dusty Baker will take a 5.5 game lead in the National League East. A 5-pitch walk to Wilson Ramos. Reds fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Ohio and Reds baseball wherever you go. Seventh walk of the night given up by Reds pitchers. 1 intentional. And that does not make a happy skipper. You walk 7.
Well, it doesn't make anybody happy when you walk someone and there's a 9-run difference in the game, whether you're on the winning side or the losing side.
Am I sensing that doesn't make a happy Cowboy?
You would sense correctly.
Reds have also hit 2 batters. Basically 9 free passes. First and second, nobody down here in the 8th. Wood v. Rendon. First strikeout for Blake Wood, and first out of the 8th. Don't look now, but the Cleveland Indians have won their 13th straight tonight. If they could just send that a little bit of that mojo down I-71 southbound. Take her through Columbus on down into the Queen City. We'd like to take some of that mojo from the Buckeye State. Francona has them playing great baseball. Ryan Zimmerman. So Tyler Holt in right field for the second out of the 8th. Stephen Drew tags up and goes to third.
Yeah, I played for Francona years ago. We were not very good when he was the manager in Philadelphia. But you almost got the idea that Terry was about come to the ballpark, play hard, have fun, but most importantly, expect to win. Every day when you come to the ballpark, expect to win. And we didn't win a whole lot of ball games, but I think that's really shown up not only when he was in Boston, but now it's starting to show up in Cleveland.
Indians entered tonight with a 6-game lead, American League Central. A ball to Suarez, long throw across.
Nice play, nice play.
And it gets Heisen. National strand 2. Last chance for the Reds. Coming up July 16th, thanks to PNC Bank, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Zach Cozart bobblehead. Catch all the action when your Reds take on the Brewers for only $12. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. On to the ninth. All Nationals so far. Nationals Park, Washington, D.C. Pretty ballpark.
Yes, it is. I can remember when the Nationals first came back to Washington, we were playing at RFK. And I was doing the game for TV. And George Bush was throwing out the first pitch. Big baseball fan. Well, they didn't have the corridors as secretive as I think the folks guarding the president would have liked, so they put up paper all the way down the corridors. I mean, it was all over the place. I got lost. I didn't know where the heck I was going. There were no directions. It was crazy.
Well, they have just announced that last inning, they had announced that it was a double switch when Peraza entered the game. That is not the case because Ramon Cabrera is going to pinch hit here in the ninth, which we thought was going to be Peraza, but it remained the pitcher spot. So we were duped. Nonetheless, Ramon steps in for his first AB of the game. So the paper confused you.
Yeah, well, you couldn't see left or right, and that's why they did it. They didn't want anybody to see the president as they moved him through the ballpark. But it also created an issue for someone from Mississippi trying to figure out a way to get from the bottom floor of this ballpark up to the 5th floor.
I had a presidential moment, and it involved his father, George H.W. Bush. This came at Minute Maid Park years ago, and underneath, you walk in the tunnel, and he attends many Astros games, at least did. And there was these double doors. This was after he was not president anymore. It's the former president. It still had the Secret Service detail, not quite as heavy as you have when you are the sitting president. So I was in a hurry, and I'm coming through these double doors, and just at the moment, and he was opening his own door. Just at the moment he was opening the door, and I flew right into his arms. And the Secret Service,
they're all over.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, and I put my hands up. I'm like, I'm just trying to get to the dugout. That was my brush with fame, brush with a former president, as Ramon Cabrera singles here to lead off the ninth.
You know what would have been great, at least like for me, video-wise, is they would have tased you right there on the spot.
You would say that to me. I'm telling you, the Secret Service, they were on it, man. They were like right away on me.
Well, then you could always say, you know, I ran into the president and they tased me right there as I was heading to the dugout.
Oh,
could be historic.
I mean, right into his arms. And he couldn't have been nicer about it. You almost got me there. You almost got me there. Ball gets by Ramos. Cabrera goes down to second on the wild pitch.
So they put Peraza in the game, and then he's not even going to get an at bat. Something's up with that.
It is a head scratcher, because when you bring in a pitcher, I mean, we all thought it was a double switch. It was announced as a double switch.
Maybe he's in the number 3 spot. Maybe he's in Phillips' spot.
He is in Phillips'
instead
spot.
of the pitcher.
Yeah, he is indeed in the 3 spot.
But I thought the object of having Peraza here was to get him as many at-bats as possible. That would have been an ideal time to get him a leadoff spot at bat.
Yep. Swing and a miss. Zach Kozar down on strikes. Second strikeout for Felipe Rivera. Stick around after the game. Back in the Cincinnati studios. Jeff McCorrell and Brian Giesenslaw will put a capper on this one. As always, Reds Live, the postgame edition, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Now Ivan De Jesus Jr. His second at bat of the game. Grounded out to first back in the 7th. The 0-1 pitch. Outside, 1-1. There's Peraza on deck. Downstairs, 2-1.
You know, if you're in a spot here like De Jesus is, or with Cabrera or Peraza for that matter, you don't care what the score is. You're getting a chance to get an at bat against a pitcher.
Popped up. Zimmerman, edge of the outfield grass. Reds are down to their final outs. Now the aforementioned Jose Peraza. Outside corner, strike one. 16 games for Peraza, .260 average. Still seeking his first major league home. Does have 2 RBIs and has shown the propensity to put the bat on the ball. In his future, you could certainly see him being a big-time hit-and-run candidate. He can certainly put it in play, as he does right here into right field. Heisey, though, over towards the foul line, and he's got it. And the Nationals take game 1 of this 4-game set in big fashion. 13-4, your final from Nationals Park. We'll be back with more in a moment.